still worth it if I have more good moments than I have bad moments, right? And that the intensity of those good moments and like how good those are better than the intensity of the bad moments.
Yeah.
And because it all balances itself out. But it's crazy. Entrepreneurship is like a drug, right? In a way, you have these like euphoric moments, and then you have these like withdrawal crashes, if you want to put it that way. If you want to compare it to that. So as an entrepreneur, you're kind of addicted to the feeling of the euphoric, like we just want to sail.
Corey Ellis, welcome to the It's Not That Deep podcast, brother.
Thanks, Deep.
It's great to have you here, man. You're a super interesting guy because you're not only my good friend from university, but you're also the co-founder of GROWCER, a social enterprise that empowers remote Canadian regions to grow fresh produce locally using modular hydroponic systems, and we'll definitely get into all that.
Mouthful, eh?
Yeah, we'll definitely get into all that, but you've appeared on Dragon's Den. You're the former president of Enactus, uOttawa. You used to work at Transport Canada. You got a lot of cool experience under your belt, so I'm super excited to have you here, man.
Right on. I'm excited to be here. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah, man. Have you been on a podcast before?
I don't actually. I think this might be my first.
Damn, bro.
This is crazy.
I love it. I love it. That's hype. So you've been an entrepreneur pretty much as long as I've known you.
Yep.
Since university, since I met you, we shared an experience on Enactus. Let's talk to people about that a little bit. Let's first talk about like what is Enactus and then our roles in it.
Oh man, this is taking me back.
Yeah.
The Enactus pitch.
Absolutely, man.
Well, so we were both in the same year at university, went to business school together, and Enactus was the student club basically that started up social enterprises. So it was an opportunity to start these social businesses, but also have students be a part of the launch of that. So it wasn't just like, talking about it, we were actually implementing stuff. So yeah, we'd have, the way that group is organized is there'd be like a number of teams. There was like 100 or so people.
A lot, man.
Yeah,
I remember our meetings that we'd have. It's like, whoa, this just grows and grows and grows.
It was crazy. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and so we'd be organized in teams, and each team would be focused on a particular project. So like you were on Project Fly for a long time, which worked with marginalized and at-risk youth across the city, and we were giving them skills so that they could go out. And now, I don't know if you know this actually, but one of the participants of Project Fly is actually leading the program now.
Oh, no
Ethan.
way.
Yeah.
Ethan.
Yeah.
Oh,
so it's pretty sweet.
I did not know that. That's so powerful, man.
Yeah. So it's full circle, man. Like it's really cool to see people like him like do really well for themselves, and it's cool to say, you know what, we were just students in school and whatever, and this is what we did on our free time when we had a minute, between part-time jobs and school and getting all the rest of the stuff done. But that time had an impact, and I think that's what what really matters to people like us, right? Is like let's not just have a job and whatever, get a paycheck. Let's do something that actually, that we give a shit about.
Absolutely, something that matters and something that actually makes an impact. And at first, when I started university, I had known some of the older people who were already in Enactus.
Yeah.
And shout out to those deadbeats. But I had already known a bit about it, but I didn't know much about it. I was like, sounds kind of cool and whatever. But as soon as I got to get involved, it was like, oh, dude, this is hype.
And there was a social part of it too, man. Like all of your buddies are in Enactus. Like you get to know and make close friendships with people around you.
Well, exactly. You're spending so much time with them, and you're all commonly stressing about school together.
Yeah.
And you go out to social events together, and we'd go to these regional competitions and national competitions and whatnot, and Ottawa U in our years did quite well.
They did.
Yeah, well, and
you got to keep it up now.
Absolutely, man. And it's not only just about that. Like, it all comes back to the actual change that's being dealt out, and like going back to like what Enactus is about a little bit. And I remember it sounded so cheesy to me. Like back in the day, it was like entrepreneurs, action, and youth, right? Like, but that's what it is, and it's not just like people listening might think, okay, this is just something that some Canadian schools here and there are doing. Dude, it's worldwide.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's in like over 30 countries have an Enactus chapter at their respective universities, and thousands of students are making like incredible social enterprises that are like actually changing the world. And like, it rewired my brain because being in business school, we're taught all about, you know, business being about profit, returns for your shareholders,
right,
you know, just short-term thinking, and like how can we make the most money for our shareholders and stakeholder needs in this short term. And I was like, I don't know, man, it could be like a bit more than that, you know. And this proved to me that it was. So my next like kind of question for you, well, not really a question, but you took it to the next level in terms of your involvement. I was, you know, a team member and, you know, director here and there, blah, 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 but you became vice president and then eventually president of Enactus. Talk to us about the evolution of how you started out and how you became president of this organization.
Oh, man. I think I'm a bit crazy sometimes. Like, I take these things on.
I agree.
And then a month in, I'm like, what the hell did I just do? Right? So it's an element of that, is that, you know, I like to push myself, and I think that is all it comes down to is, you know, I told myself, so in high school I was kind of a deadbeat student and whatnot, so in first year I was like, all right, let me see how well I can do in school if I actually tried, and I did all right in school, and then in second year is when I really decided, you know what, school is fine, but I don't know, I don't see any value in putting 110% into that. Like, I'm happy just coasting, going through school, getting my degree and whatever, and then I was kind of looking and I was like, you know, what would actually fire me up? Like, what would actually keep me going? And I found Enactus, and it was the social thing first and foremost.
How did you find it?
Being honest. Oh, okay. So we were at a dinner, and this is first year. During 101 week, they had this like reception. I don't think they do it anymore, but they would organize people around tables, and there was a gala or dinner or whatever, and 2 senior students with 8 or whatever. All the rest were first year students. Okay. And the whole thing was, you know, these students that were senior were involved in doing stuff, and they were there to talk to you about what they do. And I sat down next to Ajmal Sattar, who's the co-founder of, or president at the time of Enactus, and he started off talking to the table. He's like, all right, I'm going to take 30 seconds, and I'm going to guarantee you that you're going to join Enactus after this. You know, in typical style. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so I was convinced. I mean, I bought the pitch. I believed in it, and so I applied. It was, I think, me and Tahir applied at similar times within the same few days. And then, we joined. I joined Cassie's team on Accelerate at the time. And yeah, man, I kind of love the atmosphere of being around the office and stuff. And then I'm a bit of a workaholic, so I just kind of got shit done. And then they were like, all right, well, I guess you're the only one around here that can take over once we leave. And so I was like, cool, let's see how this goes. And like I said, once I was in it, I was like, okay, I signed up for this. You have to, because otherwise, you know, you can't really say you're going to do it and then afterward just kind of, you know, take a step back and not do it. When you're the guy, everybody else can drop out, but like you have to be around and still doing it. Otherwise, everything kind of falls apart. So.
And side note, like, that's what I find makes you such a powerful leader, and that's like such a powerful leadership like trait, is like, you know, going back to you being a workaholic and being in the shit. Like, I would see you sitting in the fucking Enactus office with this keyboard, because you fucked up your keyboard, spilled something on this keyboard on top of your MacBook laptop, just writing grants and proposals at like fucking 12 at night, 1 a.m. You worked your ass off. And to speak to that though, like, as a leader, you were always able to take on the accountability and do the things that, you know, some people just don't want to do, man.
Yeah, it's comes with the territory, I guess, but that was kind of the backstory. That's why I got into it. I found out I loved it, and then, you know, this Enactus thing got me up to Nunavut, which is where we saw everything going on, and that's how we.
And talk about that project a bit at first.
Oh man, well, it was just kind of a, you know, to be honest, we were trying to find a way to get up there. We Kathleen and I and Ajmal knew that we wanted to work in the north for a long time. And
why? So, what was it about
They had
north.
gone. Kathleen Najmal had gone up once before with like a youth mission or whatever. They send these groups of students up, and you get to learn about whatever this place, wherever you're going. They tour across Canada, and this one was in the north, and you know, I think you got to go there to really understand it. But it's this place where, you know, like first of all, it's a beautiful place, but second of all, you're looking at people's quality of life, their standard of living, and you're like, this can be improved, right? With effort and energy, like people's lives can get better. And if you, I don't know, talk about where is your time best invested, in my mind, I felt like, hey, I can actually make a real difference here. So the delta, let's say, if you want to call it that way, of like improvement of life, if you were to measure that, would be greater in a place like Nunavut than it could ever be in a place like Ottawa. Like the work we were doing in town was great, but you know, people for the most part, you know, had a roof over their head that, you know, didn't get them sick and stuff. And, you know, so all these things, in the north, that wasn't the case. So we said, let's just go up and learn about it. So we did this workshop for youth. RBC came in and funded that. So that just paid for us to go up for 2 weeks or whatnot. And it was during that time that we were like, okay, we're going to do this 5-day workshop, and then we're going to have another handful of days to just like go out there and talk to people. And let's come back with like some actual ideas just to brainstorm on like problems. So let's go interview people, government, nonprofit. We did like 350 meetings, not in that trip alone, but in the first year, where we just met with people to say, you know what are the problems? What type of solutions are you looking for? Like really kind of did like market research, customer research. And we had some crazy ideas, man. The first idea that came out of it was, let's build this shipping container complex with housing and businesses and like all this stuff.
I remember the blueprints for that. I was like, bro.
Exactly. We brought in like Carleton's architecture school. They designed blueprints for us. Like we got creative, but that was the first idea. It was gonna, you know, tackle all these problems at once. And I think we maybe were naive, you know, young, and we were ambitious, and we wanted to get that done. So we were pursuing that, and then within that sole idea was that there were going to be social enterprises that were renting space, and that was going to be how we were going to pay for the housing. And one of those social enterprises was a farm that produced food in a shipping container. So it's crazy how you think went from these, you know, all these interviews, and we just kind of landed on the idea, to be honest. And that's what created GROWCER, was this kind of the trip, and then just this process of...
And then identifying the need.
Right, but I don't think we even had, you know, figured it out quite yet. It was just more of a
exploratory.
Exploratory. Yeah, we just had all these ideas, and then we kept throwing shit against the wall until something stuck. So that was the idea. That's how it came.
Super powerful, because like what you just mentioned, right? Like most Canadians, I don't know the whole statistic, but I think like 90% of Canada's population lives like within, I don't know, something like 200 kilometers of the U.S. border, right?
Yeah.
Someone's going to have to fact check me, but definitely close to the U.S. border. Yeah. And so, as most of us live here, we kind of just forget that there's a whole other Canada out there, but there are people living there and in these remote regions. And dude, like, I remember seeing a snap, maybe it was you or Ajma or someone sent it. It was like Tropicana for like $18.
Oh yeah.
Head of lettuce, $8. Like,
yeah.
Like just ridiculous food prices. And then I was like, nah, like can't be, you know, like I just thought naively, you don't, first of all, you don't think about people in those remote communities much.
Yeah.
And then if you do, you're like, oh, well, they're good though. Like
someone's taking care of them. Yeah.
It's accounted for.
Yeah.
But like you guys kind of figured out that like, nah, man, it's kind of like a bit harsh reality there, and not just with food, but with all kinds of different issues and whatnot. What were some of the biggest issues that you guys kind of figured out just by talking to people?
We came back with top 3, and top 3 was housing. You know, people didn't have access to the wait list for housing is like thousands of people long, so it's going to take years to get through. So if you want a house, you join a wait list. Food. So food insecurity, there's 4 to 5 houses in the territory with Inuit children go hungry every single day, or go hungry at least regularly. So that's crazy. And then youth employment. So how do we if we're gonna do something, we can start with youth, right? The same way we did with Enactus. Like youth are the kind of future of the North. So those were the 3 big hot topic issues that we were like we were excited about. So the reason we, I guess, landed on food in the end was the business model kind of stuck, and we found some traction there. And then the food thing was cool because we could create a food business, like a farm business that never existed before, which, you know, creates jobs, creates profits that can be reinvested in the community, that kind of stuff. And it solves or helps solve the food insecurity problem, right? Or the food production, food access problem. So that's why at the end of the day, this is kind of exciting because you kind of do both. It's a for-profit business, you know, that people are creating up there. They're producing jobs, they're producing, but then all the outcomes, all the other stuff is all positive too for their neighbors and stuff. So
that's really important that it's for profit.
Yeah.
Because then that becomes now attractive. Like people like to point towards non-profits for to go solve a problem like this.
Yeah.
Traditionally, right?
Yeah.
Like the traditional mindset is like, well, there's got to be like a non-profit or NGO or something out there that can fix this issue. But definitely, like, going out there and seeing how it really is and what it's actually like. Nice save, by the way.
I was like, I can't hear you. All of a sudden, it just goes dark.
I kind of lost my train of thought, but just being out there and just seeing that, like, that's awesome, man. And then, so how do you go from that to then coming back, linking up with Alita, and like, yo, let's actually do something about this?
It's pretty crazy, actually. So there's this program at uOttawa that it does it allows you to start your business in the summertime, which is pretty dope. So the province basically says, you know, okay, if you're a student and you are entrepreneurial, you want to start a business, apply to this thing. You'll get salary money, so you get paid as if you were in a job, like whatever, minimum wage, but you get paid, and just work on your business for 4 months and see where you can take it. And it's an application process and stuff, but that is ultimately, frankly, why we even got to start this. We applied with 2 different ideas. One of them was the Nova thing, which was the big complex shipping containers, and the other one was GROWCER. And I think at the time we even called it the grocery or something. It was this whole, it was a bit different, but we were like, you know what, if we can have the opportunity to do this for the summer, our Enactus project will be better. That was our mentality at the time, was this is an Enactus kind of first mentality. Let's get ourselves in good shape for competition. We'll have all summer to work on this. So we'll start off like the school year.
What was that program called?
Startup Garage.
Startup Garage.
Yeah.
So it's like, I guess, like an accelerator. What do you call it? Like what do you call Startup Garage? Like what it's not a grant, but it's like a program that anyone can apply to, or is it just Telfer students? Like, how does it work?
Any U of O student or recent
cool.
grad. I think if you've even graduated within a year, there's ways you can do it. If you're in a master's program, you can do it.
We gotta link this below if anyone's watching and you know they're interested in like pursuing something like that. Like that could be the kick you need, you know, instead of, you know. And this is something that like I wanted to talk to you about as well. We might go off on a little tangent here, but it's like, you never wanted to, I mean, you needed money, you still needed money, right? Because you still need money to live and, you know, be in school, and fortunately you lived with your parents and were able to save some money, but you still need money for expenses and stuff, but you never worked a job. Yeah. No. While doing all this, like being full in on Enactus, working on all these projects, grinding. I think you were a TA, right?
I was a TA, yeah, and I worked for the government in first year. Yeah,
but like you didn't hold, like you couldn't, like you straight up, there were no hours left in the week to work.
Yeah, and I was lucky for that, right? Like I was able to, like I had savings from high school and in first year, so I was able to put myself through school and, you know, live for free basically. So if I didn't have free rent, I would have had to get a job, and then I wouldn't be able to do all that other stuff.
But dude, I remember days when like we're in the like Enactus office and like, you know, like, oh, should we go out? It's like, can't, bro. Like we're both broke and just like, like should we order food? Like, I can't, bro. Yeah. Might just get a hot dog from the hot dog guy or just something just to like survive. But, like, dude, like you really were in the shit, like life as a student, but also a student entrepreneur. But you were thinking so much bigger than that. Like you could have just went and got a government contract for those summers, and you know made some money and like been okay. But you're not a very selfish guy. You're like, nah, man. You know what? Let's try to do something. And it started off for Enactus. Let's do it for Enactus. How did that evolve beyond that?
I think I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Like, it's just kind of in my DNA, and I always thought that wouldn't it be cool if I had an idea that was viable enough to be a business. So I always had thought through that track. It's part of the reason I decided to go to business school is, let's kind of learn the trade, right, or the tricks of the trade, if you want to put it that way. And frankly, I think, like, once we started getting traction, we had to get serious, or we had to decide. It was, is this going to be just this thing we're going to do during school, and we'll start this GROWCER thing up, and it'll be an Enactus project, and we'll just hand it off to the next group of students, which was an option, right? Or do we think it warrants us to, like, pursue this full time? Are we excited enough about this to, like, make this a real business and actually go all in on it? And the decision was somewhat made for us because we had to, during this summer that we were working in Startup Garage, we had to decide if we wanted to make a big purchase. There was, like, a big investment that we had to make, and there's no way Enactus was going to be able to pay for that. And so Alita and I kind of went, okay, here's the decision point, right? Are we going to go out and take out a loan, or are we going to go out and, do this on our own? And we ended up going out to BDC, which is like the Business Development Bank of Canada, taking out a personal loan, or a business loan, but on a personal guarantee for Alita and I to start up the business. That's the first kind of injection of cash beyond getting creative with grants that actually helped us kind of get launched. So yeah, that was the deciding factor. That was when the decision was kind of made for us. We were like, all right, we're in this. And then that September, when we had to go back to school, we, for the next couple of years while Alita and I, we still had to graduate, but we had this business. We, like, alternated often our semesters and stuff so that one of us could be working on the business. And then the following summer, June of 2017, I was our first hire. So by that point on, I stayed full time on the business, and then we do night classes and stuff so that we could get our school done.
Damn, man,
yeah.
That's a serious grind. And then, but then, when were you guys both done university?
I graduated in May of 2018.
Okay.
So a year and a bit ago, and Alita just graduated this past May.
Wow.
So she was still night classes all the time.
Still grinding.
Yeah.
She. I want to talk about Alita too a bit, man. She's so intelligent.
Yeah.
So smart.
Yeah.
Like.
And it was a complete accident that we kind of, got in business together, because she happened to be that first year student that Kathleen chose to come to Nineveh with us. Because we were like, oh, she has potential, right? Like, let's invest in, a young student that is going to come up with us, work with us on stuff. And for this boot camp, the first boot camp we went on, right?
Right.
And and it just, man, it worked out.
It definitely worked out, man. That's super hype. Going back to, being in the university grind, you decided to study entrepreneurship, right? Did you start off that way? Because I'm pretty sure you switched, right?
Yeah.
At one point, were you like in management or something like that?
Yeah. So I was in finance when I originally registered in the school, and I was like, all right, let's learn business this way. Let's kind of learn all about finance. It's a hard skill that I can take with me, and then I ended up switching into management with the entrepreneurship option. So entrepreneurship is like in the management program. So
Right.
I ended up, I'm pretty sure I graduated with that. I never actually checked before, to be completely honest.
That's hype, man.
That was anyway what I think I did.
The reason I asked that, and feel free to have some of your beer, man. Don't feel like I'm interviewing you. Dude.
No, it's all good.
We're legit just having a conversation.
Yeah. I'll probably finish this. I'll just finish this after, because it's harder with the mic.
No, dude, move it. Like, dude, don't worry.
Right
Like,
on.
legit, this is all good.
Yeah.
But like, what I wanted to ask you is, do you feel like studying entrepreneurship actually helped your entrepreneur craft in any way?
No, man.
Yeah?
Not at all. No offense, Stephen Dace. You're a great prof. But,
Because a lot of people say this, man, that like, business school doesn't actually teach you business. You gotta do business.
Right.
And how accurate do you feel that statement is?
100%. I mean, 90%, let's say. Because there are some things, right?
Absolutely.
Go back to finance and accounting. Those are hard skills, right? And then there are, the environment of school definitely built me as an entrepreneur, right? So it wasn't the in-class, we wrote a business plan for a class type stuff that actually taught me stuff. Because that, let's be honest, I didn't really put any effort into that anyway, right? But And it's because you look at it and you say, okay, we're gonna do this once. It's just kind of an exercise, and it's not seen as something that is kind of real. Where you get experience is like the school environment does allow you to like talk to a lot of people that are in business.
Yeah.
You do co-op. You can do the startup garage program. You do an Enactus. Like those are the areas where it could be considered school, right?
Yeah.
But it's like the extracurricular.
It is the extracurricular.
Where
It's
you learn
like
business, yeah.
It's like they talk about networking a lot, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of scoff at it as a first year, like networking. Yeah, you want me to wear a suit and
Yeah.
go to these weird little like networking events.
Learn how to handshake or whatever.
learn how to
workshops. They have a workshop on that.
They actually do. I remember these workshops.
Yeah.
And, oh my god, such. I don't want to say BS because it actually there's a space for it in the corporate world.
Yeah.
You do learn something
Yeah.
from that, but in the space of entrepreneurship and stuff, and actually going out there and eating the shit and actually going and having to do things that you probably never thought you'd have to do.
Yeah.
It doesn't really teach you that. But
no. There's no class on, hey, by the way, you can be the CEO of a company and you're mopping the floor still. And people say that, but it's literal. Like, even today, right? Like, we're cleaning up and whatever, and you're
putting out fires.
7 o'clock at night, and you're still, you still have to keep going. It's not that glamorous, to be honest, right? Like, the day-to-day is not very sexy. The people have this perception in, like, entrepreneurship. Oh, you're in, like, a quote-unquote successful startup. How's that like and stuff like that.
Oh, you must be flying private jets everywhere you go and driving a Lamborghini and like having all these models around you all the time.
Exactly.
Right, Corey?
Yeah, right.
This must be the reality.
Sign me up for that. Fuck, I don't see that.
Such a lie, man.
It is, and so that's kind of the challenge I see with like the way we talk about entrepreneurship is this like sexy thing when in reality it's more like a roller coaster that you are strapped into and that you can't get off. To be honest, right? So it's like you're buckled in and you're on for this ride, and you've been on for this ride since day one where like you signed up for this, so fucking go for it, right?
Yeah.
And it's that framing too that does help you get through it because okay, there's gonna be this like low, but the roller coaster does swing back up and like just stay buckled in. So that's how I kind of see it. It's less of like a glamorous thing and more of just kind of something when the going gets tough, just push through it, and then things will get better, right? So
I love that. Let's talk about the process, going back to GROWCER a bit now, of, it's you and Alita, and now, you've got one employee. What's that like, the hiring process? What's it like now looking for people who are gonna, you gotta sell this dream to them and also make sure they're actually gonna ride for the cause. Talk to me about that. How's that?
Even, so when we were originally starting out, I can't claim that we had this like beautiful hiring process. We didn't. It was just very much like, hey, let's post this on Indeed and see what we get back. We got a grant to help pay for the first few months of their salary so that we could, it always takes time for someone to learn, right? So when they actually start creating value is maybe, like in sales, it's like 6 months after you hire them, right?
So your first position was a sales position?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So Brandon Van is our first hire, and he was just wrapping up his MBA on the East Coast. Was in Montreal because that's where his parents were from, and by the time we got a hold of him, we were like, hey, we've got this job in Ottawa. He had not unpacked his stuff, and he was like, I'm willing to move, we brought him in. We had a bunch of Skype conversations with him and just started talking to him, and I don't even know how luck has it, but he was like the perfect fit for exactly what we were looking for in sales. He had like a nutrition degree. He did an MBA in basically social enterprise. It's called community economic development. So you got like the nutrition science side of it, you got the business, but the like social business side of it. And this guy's like, yeah, I care a lot about like food and stuff. I don't know much about the North, but I like care a lot about this. And I was like, yeah, all right, this is cool.
Dope.
You believe in what we're working on, and that this can actually do positive things for people. So he was our first hire, and he's been with us ever since.
Nice.
He leads up sales now.
Love that.
Yeah.
And then now you've grown to a point where you have how many employees total?
We are 13 full-time now, and then co-op students get us to 17.
That's amazing, man.
So it's a lot.
That growth is amazing, and people don't realize because, like, you're not moving high volumes of shipping container hydroponic farms, okay?
No.
It's not a volume business.
No,
this is
really
about, and we will definitely get into the specifics of the business itself, but, like, you guys are targeting these communities that are remote regions of Canada. my like next question for you is like, what's the sales process for that? Like, how do you even reach out to, like, I wouldn't even know where to start. Like,
and neither did we.
Yeah.
Because we went, we're like, when we started out, when Brandman started out, it was like, hey, we had this idea, we wanted to do it in Iqaluit, and now how do we bring this everywhere else, right? And we had sold maybe 2 at that point in time. Yeah, we had 2 communities signed up, and we just had reached out cold by email to them. So just, hey, I'm Corey, I do this thing called GROWCER, and here's what we do. Do you want to?
And that was in Manitoba, right?
That was in Churchill. Yeah, Manitoba, northern Manitoba, and turns out we ended up like helping. Like we wrote the grant application for them. We're like, here, sign here. They submitted it. The grant came back. Like, yeah, this is a great idea. Let's do it. So that was the first deal. But then you have to scale that, right? So sales process early on was not well defined in terms of how do you create a system that you can bring people into, and as salespeople, they can be successful, right? So there's a lot of trial and error. We did a lot of email, realized that alone wasn't going to do it. So now today it's like a mix of email and calling people, and the important thing is at the front end you have to like figure out who is a good fit for this kind of thing, right? Is it cities of a certain size and bigger? Like some communities are just maybe too small to just need this,
something like this,
right?
Yeah.
So then we know that they're not going to be able to purchase this anyway, and those kind of criteria. So you set criteria.
Could those communities not be the ones that need it most?
Maybe, and
at some point,
yeah.
Do you want to get to that?
Definitely, yeah. But as a business, you have to say, okay, what is our current product, right, able to do,
right?
And you have to be honest with yourself. You have this, mission you're on, and you got to be you got to be conscious that, like, hey, maybe we're not there yet, but it's a means to an end. We still need to sell this, widget that we built to customers to keep us alive, right? Yep. And that'll get us there. And if we keep doing that for a number of years, behind the scenes, we have lots of time to do R&D and get to places where we can help address all the needs.
Absolutely.
But it's bit by bit, right? And you got to be selective. So, that's how we originally kind of started it, and that was our mentality. Was let's just start selling these. Let's get to a place where we can, have a consistent sales process. And we're only just starting that now in terms of seeing, the sort of the actual results of that and getting there. So it's taken us, 3-4 years?
But that's all part of the process, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to snowball like crazy.
Yeah.
Because you said you started with a couple, and then now, how many are you at?
We're at 20 now.
That's nuts, man.
Yeah, so
that's
we did
incredible.
2 our first year, and that was really, frankly, there was 3 or 4 months left in the month, and 3 or 4 months left in the year. So 2, and then we built, I believe, 6 the second year, and then now we're into year 3 of sales, and we did all the other ones, so 12. So we went basically 2, 6, 12. It's triple and double.
That's great.
Which is good, yeah. And now we're at a point where, we want to be pumping these out 1 a month. That's our goal. That's what we're at. And
1 a month. I love that.
Yeah,
that's really good, man.
Nice to track. If you're building 1 a month, and you're installing 1 a month, and you're bringing 1 a month online, business is good. We're happy.
Let's talk about the logistics of it. You got a shipping container.
Yeah.
Let's just take a step back for a sec, because I'm familiar with it, but maybe for people listening who are like, the hell is going on? How do you take a shipping container and grow vegetables in it? Let's just take a step back and talk about how that whole process works. How much does one cost? How do you get it places? Talk to me about the process a little bit.
Yeah, so we take a shipping container shell. It's insulated. So it usually is a massive 40-foot long fridge, actually, to carry produce.
Yeah.
And instead of it being warm outside and making it a fridge inside, we flip it. So we heat it up so that it can be in minus 50 and still grow and still be warm inside.
How do you heat it up?
The lights, actually, for the most part.
Okay.
So until it's minus 25 Celsius, we don't actually turn on a single heater in the unit.
Great.
It heats itself. And then after that, there's a computer system inside the shipping container that will tell the sensors tell the computer, we need a heater on. So then the equipment turns on automatically. And that's true for all the equipment in there. It's all automatic. And so we take this shipping container, hydroponic system, so there's no soil, it's all water. We deliver nutrients straight to the plants on the roots, and then it's all LED lights. So we're able to replicate the spectrum of the sun, give it to the plants, add CO2 to the air, because plants need CO2, and if you give them more, they grow faster. And yeah, there you go. And then you're cranking out, 500 vegetables a week. You're feeding, that's, if 100 households have 5 vegetables a week, there you go. That's 100 households fed.
How did they choose? Let's just take like a random place in the Northwest Territories or something.
Sure.
A community of like 10,000 people max.
Yeah, let's take like Yellowknife, yeah.
Yeah. You got a shipping container.
Yeah.
It's producing these 500 vegetables a week.
Yeah.
How am I getting these vegetables to people's houses? How do you determine who needs them? Are you working with grocery stores? What's going on? How are people getting this on their plate?
It really depends on who the customer is. We have customers who are grocery stores. So in Yellowknife, for example, the grocery store locally is a co-op grocery store. They own the grocer. It's right behind the store.
Oh, that's amazing.
Produce manager goes out, harvests, and puts it on the produce shelf. So
that seems so efficient, dude.
Yeah.
That just seems like how it should be done.
Exactly.
It doesn't even have to be in like remote regions. This could be scaled to a point where you got grocery stores
right
in
on the
other places. Just like make it. Oh man,
that's the vision.
I'm getting too hyped.
That's what we're going for. So long term, that's what we would want to see. Right? Is like, hey, this problem of food access is actually much bigger than just northern Canada. Mm-hmm. The problem's acute there. It's really bad. But hey, Canada's actually pretty food insecure, right? 80% of our food is imported from here. 2 states in the U.S. So what would happen if and it's California,
Florida and
Arizona.
California? Oh, Arizona.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. For lettuce, for example. Because Arizona is like a desert. They have like great sunshine, very few cloudy days, and lettuce loves that. So, so that's where we get it. But like, man, what happens if something happened to that food supply, right? Like all of a sudden, it's like when E. coli happens, like the shelves are bare for 2 weeks, right? And so as a country, we're pretty like food insecure in that sense, if you want to use that definition. And we're hoping to tackle that long term. But again, we have to be honest with ourselves. Like we're not there yet. Where a grocery store in Ottawa, downtown Ottawa, can just say, yep, we're going to do this and it's going to cost us less than the current alternative. We need to be able to show, hey, you can do this and it'll be much cheaper than what you're doing already.
Right.
Right now, we can do that in certain categories, like certain product lines that people grow will do cheaper than what they buy market price.
Right.
So we're starting to pick at that and getting better and improving our efficiency and our production to basically allow for that. But that's the long term where we're going.
Right. But getting back to it, so you get how do you get the shipping container out to them? How much does it cost?
Yeah.
And how do you outfit it?
Yeah.
How long does the process take?
Yeah. So we have a factory that we contract out in on the West Coast. So the containers come in, they'll be on the Pacific Ocean on a ship, and then we buy them out. We pick the ones we like that are in good condition, come into the factory, they build all this stuff, pack it all up, and then it goes on a truck. And then if it's going up to Nunavut, for example, it'll go on a truck to Montreal, so it'll cross the country, and then it'll load up on a barge that goes from Montreal around Newfoundland up to Nunavut. So it's like it's a few weeks journey to get up there.
Okay.
And then once the container arrives in the town, they offload it, plug it in, bring a garden hose to fill up the water tank. That's it.
It's
and then
turnkey.
Turnkey. It
it's
shows
just
up
ready to go.
Yeah.
Dude.
The team shows up, they train them, and they install it, and
that's epic.
That's it. That's all there is to it. And typically projects like a container itself, fully outfitted, is like 200,000 range, and people will pay it off in like 4 or 5 years.
And it's your team that's going out and like making sure it's all set up and ready to go. And are you training somebody there to I've heard mentioned that it's like 15 hours a week, something like that.
Yeah.
Of to keep it running.
Yeah.
Are you paying someone? Are they paying someone? How does it work to keep it maintained and working?
We will go up and install and train it. So that to us is our kind of quality guarantee, right? Where like we know, okay, we left this system, came out of the factory, because it never goes to Ottawa. We don't never see it, right? It goes straight from the factory straight to Nunavut, right? Yeah. And so we want to be there to be like, okay, did it make it on, without getting damaged? Did everything show up as it was intended, as it was designed? And so we do that always. We train the customer locally, and then it becomes their business right away, right? So they purchase this piece of equipment for their business, and so they're bringing in the revenue from the produce. They're the real farmers, right? The real people that are having an impact.
You're not taking a cut after. It's a one-time
purchase.
Boom. But
take off.
you are helping out if any issues come up, right?
For sure.
Yeah. So like, what are some of those issues? What are some things that you've gotten some fires you've had to put out, like an angry customer calling you up, my lights aren't working.
We've actually never had a really angry customer, to be honest. We've always had really, really positive relationships with people. And so, yeah, they have lifetime support for their unit. So
Great.
if their grocery system lasts 30 years, we will support them as long as the container's, on site and still growing produce. So we're on the end of the phone, right? There's a team within GROWCER that all they do every day is customer success, right? They're coaching new farmers, they're training new people, and then they're helping people as they go through make smart decisions about their business. And sometimes it's troubleshooting. So, I mean, we've seen everything under the sun, right? Where, if you get this new fancy, grocer thing, you're super excited and you bring 150 people through it, and then somebody's got a bug on their shirt and then the bug goes onto a plant and then it spreads, right? So that type of thing, because it's a sealed environment, if you break that seal, you introduce new outside things, they'll grow like crazy just like the plant. So we've seen stuff like that. And and it's just, depending on the scenario, how bad is it, we have like a decision tree, if you want to put it that way, of what is the solution, right?
The one thing you took away from university.
Yeah, a decision tree. I paid $40,000 for a friggin' decision tree, man.
To learn how to... That's too funny, man.
Yeah. Worst ROI ever. No, I'm kidding. Telfer's watching.
Yeah.
The school was valuable.
Shout out to Telfer, man.
Yeah, exactly.
It's actually very easy to judge because we came out the other side.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
We don't know, like, you would have never had a chance to be involved in Enactus, or, you would probably have never met Alita. We would not be doing this podcast right now. Like, it's all just, it's very easy. Hindsight's 20/20 to just be like, that piece of paper. But, that's not to say that every minute of every assignment we did provided value for us. Absolutely not.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's fair. I mean, even the school would probably acknowledge that like there's parts of the program that are just you have to do because whatever the province says. I don't know.
I maintain that like I could have got the equivalent education in 2 years.
Yeah.
Not four and a half.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like I could have learned all the same things that actually matter.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Cole's
getting
notes.
back.
Just get to Cole's notes of the classes. Like, all right, prof, I don't need to know the syllabus. What do I need to know?
Let's just dive into it and get it done in a month instead of 4.
Yeah.
A crash course on this. Anyways.
Yeah.
Getting back to it though, handling the troubleshooting, handling customer complaints stuff. But clearly, you guys don't have that many. It sounds like this business is really scalable. It's solving a problem. What's next? How do you get to the next level and what's going on right now?
We have to keep pushing the envelope. Like the worst thing we could do at this stage is get comfortable.
Can't stagnate.
Right. Because stagnation is just means death for a company like ours at this stage, right? So we have to see, okay, what is that next opportunity that we think is gonna double and triple for for future years, right? We've been able to double and triple in past years, but what is going to get us to that next, to go from 12 to 25, from 25 to 60, 70 containers every year, right? So so those are the things we're working on. And then on the research side, I can't divulge too much of that.
Obviously, yeah.
But it's, what are our customers telling us are things that they wish they could do with their unit that, we can't do for them right now, or that the technology is limited by. And so, like, pushing the envelope on that to say, we're in a position where, we've got some really, really smart people doing research for us. We recently brought up a guy from the States who's an expert in this area. He's got a master's degree in horticulture, and we brought him up to immigrate to Canada to work in Ottawa for us to really look at stuff closely.
That's so hype, man.
Yeah.
Now you're changing lives, bro. This is so incredible.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. Every time, it's crazy. Every time a new person joins the team or a new customer comes online, like that's another group of people whose lives are positively impacted by what we're doing. It's crazy. And
that's what makes it all worth it at the end of the day. All the hard work, all the fires you got to put out, all the stress that you have to deal with and manage.
Yeah.
It's all worth it because you're actually changing and impacting lives.
Yeah. It's that one email you get from a customer. Like every now and again, I'll get like a personal email from a customer saying, hey, you and I don't typically deal with a lot of customers face to face all the time. So it's like, hey, just wanted to write you a note to just let you know how incredible like your team is, or like what you guys are doing is amazing. Like it's been everything we were hoping for, and that's just like, oh man, this is cool. You know, that's what keeps you going through those like low lows, because there are those, right?
Absolutely.
Let's face it. So.
Talk to me about some of those, man. What's that like?
Oh man,
because that's what people don't see enough of, man.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, it's hard.
Yeah.
You're out here. I can't do what you do.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who can't do what you do, and like, it's not easy.
Yeah.
And you know, you have a good support system around you, which is great. But talk to me about some of the dark days, man. How's it?
Ooh, yeah. No, there's been some tough days, right? Like there's times where we were like, you know, we don't even know if we are going to be around in a week, you know, to be honest, right? Like, and it weighs on you because, and it's often about cash, to be honest, right? So like you've got this, you know, what you would call a runway in front of you. That's how much time you've got till you burn all the money you have in your bank account right now, right? And so there's this, basically it's like a countdown timer. That's always in the back of your mind as an entrepreneur, even at the state we're at today, right? Like we're doing great. We've been profitable since day one, but that's when we end our year, right? On our financials at month 12, profitable, but month 4, 5, 6, we weren't set. Maybe we were like, holy shit, we're like burning money faster than we're bringing it in. Like we're not going to be able to keep this up much longer. So this countdown clock starts running down, and if you don't get a sale, it doesn't like regenerate or whatever, right?
Absolutely.
So that's tough.
And you're reinvesting a lot into the business.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm sure just knowing you, and we don't have to get into specifics, you don't pay yourself a fat salary. No. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is like, people don't see the sacrifices. Everyone would probably sit down here and be like, oh, you're a CEO.
Right.
You're a co-founder. Oh, you must got it good. Oh, you know, bringing in millions in sales.
Yeah.
Oh, he must be. It's all set.
Yeah.
He's good.
Far from it.
But but like people don't realize, it's like, yo, month to month you're like, we don't even know if it's gonna. That's nuts, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you think too, like, you know, all these people have, you know, they believe in GROWCER, yes, but they believe in like me and what I made a promise to, right? And so you've got these employees that have moved from across the country, from the U.S., to pursue this thing that we've set up and this vision and the mission that we're on. And so you take that personally. Like I take that personally, where I'm like, man, I owe it to them. You know, they gave me their confidence. They gave me, you know, their trust in this opportunity, and I need to like pay it back to them, right? Like I owe them that. And so that's why it like weighs on you, because you're like, hey man, if this doesn't work out, I can't just walk away and, you know, dust myself off that easily. It's going to be that, you know, all these people will also, you know, lose their livelihoods, right? Some of them have kids, they all have, you know, a lot of them have mortgages, like they have bills to pay too, right? And not to say that it's the end of the world, and you know, there are businesses that don't succeed in the end, but that's what's on your mind, you know, as we go. So thankfully there's less of that these days. We've done okay, but it's just different types of challenges. So now it's, when is the right time to like start spending versus what we expect to bring in, right? So we're not worried about maybe paying the bills as much anymore. We're worried about that runway still, though, right? In the context of like, hey, if we decide to hire 1 or 2 more people now, how soon will we actually start seeing money come in? And like in 8-10 months, are we still going to have enough money to keep growing? You know, so that's what we're working on. But yeah, it keeps you up at night sometimes. It's a lot of like hard decisions, and sometimes you have like really shitty kind of moments, and then within 5-6 minutes you have to be able to go out there, put a face on, and like you have to have your regular weekly check-in with your team member, you know, and act like everything's normal, you know, in your mind like you're just going crazy, right? and you've got to get through your day, and then 5 or 6 o'clock at night is when you actually get to sit down and do your work, because all day you've just been managing and working with your team to make sure they're able to get their job done, but you don't get to your inbox until 5 o'clock, right? So it's stuff like that, right? Where, it's long hours, but it's a lot of fun, and like I said, it is all worth it. And in my mind, this all makes sense, and it's still worth it if I have more good moments than I have bad moments, right? And that the intensity of those good moments and like how good those are better than the intensity of the bad moments. and because it all balances itself out. But it's crazy. Entrepreneurship is like a drug, right? In a way, you have these like euphoric moments, and then you have these like withdrawal crashes, if you want to put it that way. If you want to compare it to that, so as an entrepreneur, you're kind of addicted to the feeling of the euphoric, like we just want to sail. We just kind of locked in a new person that's going to be joining us, and we hired headhunted a person that we really wanted, and we got them. So those kind of moments, you're hyped up, and it keeps you going.
Love it. Love your perspective on that.
Yeah.
No wonder it's taken me so many months to get you here on the podcast. We've been trying to schedule this for a hot minute. I know. I'm glad I got you here, dog.
Yeah, we played phone tag for a while.
Dude, this is incredible. Talk to me about how you balance it all, because I know it's not easy, and just from hearing you talk, how do you find peace?
That's probably the area that I have to work on the most myself, right? If I'm being, self-critical, I'm a freaking workaholic, right? So I work my ass off, and I know I need to take a break sometimes. So I'm getting better at doing that, but I haven't figured out. There's no balance. It's like sometimes life is work, and I think that's fine as long as it's kind of time bound, right? Like you can work your ass off when it's the busy season and you have 2 months or a month, like an accountant, audit season. You like work your ass off for those like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever it is. But then once that's done, you can reset to your normal pace, right? And you can keep up. So mental health as an entrepreneur is super important. It's something that we don't talk about enough, but that like, hey, it's all right to take a break and take a day off, right? Like there's nothing wrong with that. And so so it's something that you have to be aware of. You have to make a conscious choice, like I need to take a step back here, or this week's been crazy, I need to just. And so what I started doing, one of the things I'm happy I did early on, was I built a habit of going for runs.
That's what I was going to talk to you about.
Yeah, so I run a lot. I would run pretty much every weeknight, and that's just where I get to like blow off my steam. Like I just put in earphones and just take off and take off for an hour, and like don't even think about anything at all. Don't think about work.
That's your meditation.
Exactly. And you go to the gym, you know how it feels, where you can just like leave everything behind, and then you come back and you're in a mindset that's a lot more productive, right? So even though you might start the run kind of in a glum mood or whatever, like you're feeling shitty, you go for a run and you're like, you come back and the problem hasn't solved itself, right? Obviously, but you see it differently, maybe.
You
or
feel
you just
better
feel
about it, and you can deal with it better.
Yeah, or you're just like, now I'm tired, I'm gonna go to bed, and tomorrow will be a better day.
Yeah.
So often it's that, right? Often you're just like, I still feel like shit, but just gonna go to sleep now, and like I said, you'll have the dark moments, and you just know that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, I'm glad you have that thing at least to bring you back to baseline. You've had it for a while, man. Since I've known you for a while, and you've kind of been talking about that for at least a few years now. It's like, yeah, man, I love to just run to reset.
Yeah.
Which is really good. Getting back to, I know this has been kind of all over the place, but like I told you, it's just a conversation, right?
This is good.
Getting back to talking about what it's like up in the north in these remote regions and stuff. What's something that like took you by surprise that you really didn't know much about, or really like took you by surprise? Like, oh my god, like I didn't know it's like this. Other than the whole food scarcity and this and that.
Good question. There's a few things. I mean, first of all, the cool thing when you first land, the first obvious thing is visual. Like the architecture of houses is totally different.
Right.
So have you ever been to Newfoundland? Like all the houses are like bright colors.
Okay.
So the like red house, green house, like you never see that in the city, right? Everybody's got their kind of like
suburban, same kind of looking house.
Like, beige, and gray, whatever. There's nothing fancy about most, and it's glass and stainless steel or whatever. In the north, it's all like wood construction, and it's brightly colored, and I think that's pretty cool. But as far as like what actually kind of shocked me. I'm trying to think back to that time
I could give you one that shocked me, and I've never been there, but it was told to me, is that a lot of places, it's like prohibition. They don't sell alcohol. You can't...
Yeah, dry communities. There's lots of
dry communities.
up there.
I didn't know that existed.
Yeah.
That blew my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, and so because they're self-governed, right, they get to decide basically whatever rules they want to set for themselves, right?
Yeah.
Which is, first of all, great. Yeah, some communities have just voted to say, you know what, we don't want any alcohol, no liquor. So it's illegal
it can
to
become
possess.
such a problem there.
Right. So then the RCMP is still the police there, and you can get arrested for being in possession of alcohol. So that's crazy.
Yeah. So it creates like this black market for alcohol.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, I guess
people are still gonna try to get fucked up.
Right. Right. Exactly. The price goes up, right? And it creates an illicit market. You know, unfortunately, that's how it is, right? If there's a demand of any kind, someone is going to create a supply, right?
Absolutely.
And that's what a lot of these communities are challenged by, is like that whole question, right? Like, do you make it illegal, or do you try to control it? Because that substance abuse is such a challenging thing, right? And it's intricately tied to mental health, right? And
quality of life in other areas, like
right.
you mentioned.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, that's pretty shocking. I guess the big thing that I realized was that there's just a totally different like lifestyle. It almost in a way feels like, well, in a way it's like a different place in the world. It feels like you're totally in a different country or in a different place when you're up there, because this remoteness kind of challenges people to actually live differently and think differently about stuff. Because you can't just go out and, oh, I need something, I know I can just Amazon Prime it to myself.
Yeah. Right?
Like that so you can have money in your bank account and you need something and you just can't get it.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to think like very about your subsistence, right? Like you have to think conservatively about stuff.
Yeah,
exactly. So like they have to can stuff, you know, months in advance and they need it, and then have a reserve just in case the flight doesn't come in, and you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, because these flights, right, like that's another thing. They're not often, like the flights don't go, there's not daily, like fucking hourly flights that go up to...
The challenge is just like, if there's a blizzard can be like a day. A blizzard can also, you know, impact an airport for like 2-3 days. So what happens during that time when like the plane is the lifeline, right? So if there's no plane for 3 days, how do you, like, the store shelves just go bare, right? How do you bring new stuff in?
Jeez,
that's the only way.
People that ration their food and have everything, like...
Exactly, yeah.
God damn,
Yeah.
that's tough. And then, what are the most common jobs out there? Like, obviously there's the, you know, there's standard jobs that people do and stuff, but what's something that surprised you that people do out there for money?
I've actually learned a lot. There's people who live like a more traditional lifestyle, I think is really cool. Like you can, if you get to know people who are hunters, fishermen, you can learn a lot from them.
Right.
Because they have a different view on life.
They actually live off the land.
Exactly. And their whole kind of way of thinking is really, really cool. And the way they view the world is cool because it's way more like, you know, an interdependency, right, between land and what like nature provides you and you and your life, right? So it's, I mean, before I started this company, I had never really like grown all that much food of my own, right? Like we just buy everything off the shelf, and that's what most people, you know, have these days.
We're so removed from like feeding ourselves and meat and food in the grocery stores. You just grab it and go.
Exactly.
You don't think about where it came from and what had to happen for it to get here.
Yeah, yeah. But these people, they see it intimately, right? Like they need to, you know, kill what they eat, right? Every day, and they've always had that, and so that's pretty cool. Talking to people about their view on the world and whatnot is really eye opening, and I think they've got it more figured out than Southerners who go to the grocery store do, for sure.
Damn.
No,
powerful.
Yeah. And they, you know, I was talking to someone yesterday or the day before where it was just, you know, if the Europeans had come and actually like wanted to learn from indigenous populations, I wonder where we'd be. Like we'd be in a much more positive place because they actually had a lot of the answers that we're just only now learning.
Right,
like environmentalism, and hey, we can't just like mine coal for 200 years and burn it and we're fine, you know? Like we need to take care of, you know, our resources, and there's a finite amount of it, so how do you allow for regeneration and all that? And so they had all the answers to that for millennia.
Oh right? Yeah, they use every single part of an animal when they kill it.
Exactly.
Everything. Right. That's one thing that stuck with me that I learned in elementary school about certain what's the right word to use? Aboriginal?
Yeah.
Indigenous?
Aboriginal,
I don't know the right word
yeah.
these days. Indigenous populations, like when they're hunting for food and whatnot, they will use every bit of the animal.
Yeah, and they only hunt for what they need.
Only for what they need. It's
Right.
not like I'm just gonna kill for the sake of killing a bunch of animals.
Yeah, and it's almost
That's
like
just
a
one
ritual,
example,
right?
but yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like a ritual. Like they just recognize that this is like a blessing to have these animals like feed us and that kind of stuff. So
A lot we could learn from that for sure, man.
yeah, and it's definitely been like a change for me too. You know, having the chance to interact with people like that all the time. It's I'm pretty lucky, and it's
What are
cool.
some of the changes you've made in your life personally?
I just I think we all need to be more conscious of the amount of waste that we produce.
Yeah.
Like everything that we do every day creates so much waste, and all you have to do is like for a few days, like don't throw anything out in the trash, like carry a bag with you or something, just to realize like how much waste you actually create as a person.
I'm so bad.
Yeah, and it's not plastic and all that. It's just in general, right?
Everything.
Like
Everything. I had a guest on, Alicia,
Yeah.
and she was talking about how she did this 30-day challenge where she collected everything that she would have to throw out in the garbage, and she carried the mason jar with her everywhere, and like collected all the trash that could not be recycled or whatever, and she was able to only barely fill up one in a whole month. I would fuck that up before breakfast.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Like, I would not be able to do that, but like she challenges that. She's like, yeah, no, you can. Everyone can.
Yeah.
We can all do better. And I'm really bad. I gotta work on it too. But yeah, man, hearing this kind of stuff, it you gotta be more mindful about it, because it's so easy to just go about life not thinking about it at all, man.
Yeah.
Future generations are going to have to pay the price.
Yeah, so there's that, and then I think I've been more conscious too of like the types of purchases that I'm making, like which, if I have a choice between two things, like which company and because you end up voting with your wallet, right? At the end of the day, as a consumer, you don't realize it maybe, but as soon as you put your credit card down, you just voted in favor and you just supported, that company's principles, right? So, wherever I can, it's you pay a premium maybe for something that is more sustainable or whatnot, but is that better in the long run? So,
right.
So
love it, man.
Yeah.
Let's get back to GROWCER for a second and talk about your experience going on Dragon's Den.
Yeah.
I think the people want to hear about this because I was super hyped to find out that you first got on it, and then I was watching the episode even earlier today again, and seeing how you guys did. I don't know I guess we could talk about the experience, right? Yeah. But talk to me about that. How'd you go about it? What's the process like, and how was it?
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy how simple it was. They do auditions across the country, and they just stop by all these hotels in every major city. So that we saw online, they were, I guess, targeting us with ads or something, because we saw, hey, we're in town on Saturday, do auditions, and come out and introduce yourself to our producers. And so, funny enough, the day of, I call Lita, I'm like, hey, are we still doing this thing? And she's like, I don't know if I'm really feeling it, like, are we ready for that? And like, besides, it's been a long week, it's a Saturday, I kind of want to take it easy. And I was like, okay, come on, let's just do it. Worst case, it's an hour of our time. Mm-hmm. We'll go for lunch afterward. This was like 9 a.m. or whatever, 10 a.m. Go for lunch afterwards, and then see how it goes. Turns out we present. She's like, oh, this is cool. You guys are students? We're like, yep. She's like, okay, cool. There's a student special. We'll look at that for you guys and call you back in a few months. 2 months later, we get a call back. They're like, yep, we want you on the show. You're a fit. I think it was because we were students. Like, without that, I don't know.
I think it was more than that, bro.
Yeah,
You're just being humble, man.
No, but I think that was a big part of it, because definitely when we were like, oh yeah, and by the way, we're students, like I went, oh shit, that's really cool. So we got onto the student special, which is one episode a season, is all student businesses, current students that are doing business full-time in addition to their studies. And there's a lot of backstory, so I'll make a long story a bit shorter. We actually took apart an actual grocery unit, like went into the container, cut a shelf out, loaded that onto a truck and drove the truck with live plants down to Toronto. So if you watch the episode...
Like a U-Haul, you just rented a truck and just...
Exactly. And we were driving this thing on Front Street in downtown Toronto at 5 p.m. on a work day.
Shit.
So we're up like high in the truck, and like, dude, I can't even believe I can do that with a driver's license, like a normal driver's license. I feel I need more training. But anyway, you're allowed to just rent these big trucks, and we're driving down Front Street. All these people are walking around us, and we're in this massive cube van going to the CBC studios. So if you watch the episode, those plants are actually like 2 days old, and they've all died. One
they look fine in the episode.
They made it look good. It's TV magic. But what I forgot, or what they didn't tell us, to be fair, and what we forgot was on a TV set, you're not allowed water. Like, you can't have buckets of water because there's a flat floor. And if any water spills, it'll like fry all the batteries and lights and equipment that's on the floor.
I never knew that.
So we were like, bringing our like shelf in with a full tank of water to like flow through the plants, and they're like, "Buddy, you can't do that. Like, this is a TV set." And we said, "Okay, well, then the plants are gonna look like shit tomorrow."
Yeah.
Start filming at 6 a.m. and the plants are just like totally flat. Had we been able to give them a few hours of water,
started filming at 6 a.m.
Yeah. So the taping, we were the first on set because it was such a setup, and they built us like a fake container to go around the shelf to make it look good for TV and stuff. And so we set it up the night prior, and usually they want like the set to switch between pictures, 5-6 minutes. So we had to be first, and then it was super early in the morning. I'm not a morning person, like you know, so it was a bitch. But
and so when you meet the dragon, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Is this genuinely the first time you're meeting them when you come on, or do you get to meet them before nothing?
No, you're in a prep room with a bunch of other pitchers who are not the people on your episode. They're just random reporter, whoever was able to make it for that filming session. And
okay, so that, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
It's not like
in order.
No, at all.
It's just random. They filmed the whole season, and it's crazy, man. Like, apparently they're doing these like 12 or 15 hours film days. So the dragons are sitting in their chair for that long, seeing like 30 pitches go in front of them.
Because they're busy too. They're not sitting here like booking whole days to just film.
Yeah, and it's like 3 weeks straight or whatnot. It was multiple weeks. I don't remember the exact number, but where all the dragons do 9 to 5, or probably 9 to 9, frankly. Watch pitches all day, and then 3 weeks straight. Then they film the whole block, and then it's done. And then they edit for a few weeks, and then it gets released. But no, yeah, you walk into the set. That thing where, every episode they start you off where you're walking that catwalk and you walk down the stairs, that is genuinely the first time you see the dragons.
Cool,
You walk into the set, you don't see them because it's all blocked off. And yeah, it's really, really cool to see it on TV. It's like this, like you see it online and you're like, okay, this is cool. And then you walk in and you realize like, wow, this set has all these things that are kind of hidden that make it look the way it does.
Yeah, that you don't see. Yeah. Because it's edited and they got the music and the shadows. And
They create this, like, I mean, it's TV magic really. They create this like depth perception that this is a massive set. And it's actually not very big at all.
It's not?
No.
I thought it's huge.
No, it's really not.
I thought it's a warehouse, like a big-ass abandoned warehouse. They just fucking started...
No, it's a high-rise in downtown Toronto on, like, across from the Ripley's, basically, the CBC studio that's
No way, like right CN Tower.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah, so they're right on Front Street there, and... anyway, yeah, it's really surprising how much like TV magic goes on, and then behind the scenes you're just like, yeah, this is how it looks.
How long does it take from start to finish the filming?
I think we did 45 minutes or so, and then our final segment, maybe 60 minutes. Our final segment was 5, 6. Wow. Yeah, so there's a lot that's cut out.
Right.
And the funny thing is, it takes a long while from taping to like live airing, right?
And you get to have legit conversations with these dragons.
Oh yeah.
Like, and because I could tell watching it.
Yeah.
There's a lot more going on here, a lot more explanation, and they just probably cut out the hypest parts, man.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to hear so much more about like the story and why, and they're just like, yeah, man, how much you want?
Yeah. And but they did ask all that, right? Yeah. They got that story, and it's whatever is good for TV. It's all about making the viewer like.
I wish you could access behind the scenes, like.
Yeah. And watch the.
Do you get that?
No, we don't. Yeah. I don't even know if it's possible. I'm sure they still must have it.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of stuff ends up on the cutting room floor, right? Like the editor takes it out and makes it a good clip so that people stay interested. So.
Yeah. But talking about the actual experience, again, though, you crushed it. You and Alita both did so well. You were so composed. Like, you, at least in what I saw.
Yeah.
You guys were so cool, and you look so collected, and I know inside your head, you're freaking the fuck out.
Oh, yeah.
You got these fucking billionaires in front of you, and these dragons, and but, you had gone in knowing that, you didn't really necessarily want to have a deal with them. This was more of a PR thing, which is really, like, not surprising, but people don't realize about Dragon's Den is, like, most people are doing that, right?
Yeah. It's a great way to get in front of a lot of people, right, on TV, and it's kind of it's a hype for your company, right? So we knew, as you said, like, going into it, that, we really just kind of wanted to promote ourselves, right? And there's no cost to doing Dragon's Den in Canada, and so we said, you know what, let's just do this and see where we go, and we did get an offer on the set, which on the show we accepted, and that
was with Arlene and
Lane Merrifield, yeah. So we never actually went to the step of actually evaluating that offer and pursuing it. We accepted it on TV. We did get the written offer. But at that point in time, we just told their teams that we were not going to consider it. Which, at the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, you respect them as fellow entrepreneurs that have done really well for themselves and had really great careers. But it is for TV, right? So from peers I know who've done the show that have actually taken an offer, usually what the Dragons will do is, like, you start from scratch, basically, because you take the offer on TV and that's all for TV.
Yeah.
And then what happens is you can go to them and say, listen, that was just sort of like the numbers we gave for TV. Here are
our real numbers, and then they do their due diligence with their teams and whatnot. And
so then take a few months to actually sort of get to that final
that's why the one thing I do really, really enjoy about that show is seeing the updates with people who actually went and did the deals, because and I know that those are probably the only few that actually really did go through.
Yeah.
But that's it's still a great show, and it gets a lot of people really hyped up about business and entrepreneurship, and it's kind of like, it's an accolade.
It is.
In a weird way, it's like, okay, now we're legit. We went on Dragon's Den.
Yeah.
And as much as it's for TV and it's fluffed up and this and that, like, it's still really cool, man, that you're able to do that. I enjoyed the episode, and even some of the other pitches on that show were really great.
Yeah.
And I bet your parents got a kick out of it too. Like,
yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had so we filmed this in May 2018 or so, and we had it went on air in January 2019, and we had a big viewing party when it came on.
I remember.
And that was fun because I got to bring up my parents. Alita had her parents. Our whole team had their families. Friends. Folks who had been supporters of us for day one, like that first banker from BDC that took a chance on a bunch of kids and gave us that loan. Yeah. Like, all those people we got to, for the first time, actually properly thank for everything that they did for us. So that was fun, right? Those kind of things, as a business, you don't have that many opportunities to have a thank you to them as a community, right? Because it really takes a village to build a business.
It really does, man, and you've had a lot of support. What's next in terms of the marketing and the growing the side of things? Because this is not a business you're selling to people. How do you market a business like this? And Dragon's Den was a great step, but what's next? What are you doing?
Yeah, Dragon's Den was kind of we wanted to build just name recognition, right? So people are like, oh, GROWCER, I think I might have seen that on TV. So that helps, right? Because you're not starting from ground zero at with conversations, so they kind of know. But when it comes to conversations that we're having with people, how we find them is usually how a lot of people do enterprise marketing. So it's like case studies, right? Examples of how other people are doing this, and then showing it to people who are similar or have similar needs, right? So being able to say, hey, this group over here, this nonprofit used a GROWCER to do this way, and this is the results that they got. Feel free to call them, right? Talk to our customers about their experience and see if this would be something you'd be interested in. That is really helpful. And then lots of trade shows, magazines, like industry magazines and stuff that we promote ourselves in.
Right.
Just to kind of within the target market that we're pursuing, where are those people gathering, I guess, is what the question you ask yourself, and then you pursue marketing in that area very specifically.
I love that, man, and the trade shows and the magazines and that kind of stuff. And from the Dragon's Den experience, I bet you've got some phone calls or some emails with some interest about this. So all in all, you talk about it being free, and you talk about, you didn't really want to do it at first, or Lita didn't really want to do it at first, but it worked out. Yeah. It was a pretty cool experience, and like, so how do you now take it and go to the next level, which leading into my next question kind of is, this problem's a lot bigger than Canada.
Right.
How do you go global?
It's like the question of the century, or the question of like the year, I guess, for us. Yeah. Is that's the quite literally the question we're asking ourselves.
Because I want to watch you on Shark Tank.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That was not free. That is not free.
That was not free, but that's a lot of more eyeballs, I'll tell you that.
I know. That'd be fun. Yeah. Well, I guess the way we're seeing it right now is, where is the current product at that what are markets that we can immediately serve, right? Where we don't need to make product changes. So going to like a desert climate would require us to like do some re-engineering and redo certain things. So we're not quite there yet. Something we're working on. But other markets that are cold, import all their food, have a lot of seasonality. Like
go to Greenland, man.
There you go.
Dude, Greenland would be hype.
Yeah, so it's markets like that like, how do we get into spaces like that, right, is where we're starting. And so we're picking the low-hanging fruit to start. But how we do it, man, if you knew the answer to that, if anybody knows the answer to that, you've got a job.
Yeah, but, for sure, man. Yeah. Apply to GROWCER.com. Is it GROWCER.com?
GROWCER.ca.
GROWCER.ca. I like that. I like that. Dude, this has been an amazing conversation so far. I've really enjoyed it. What are some of the next steps for Corey Ellis, man? Is there anything else you're working on, or anything aside from GROWCER, obviously, that you're working on, or you're kind of a side project, or anything that you've got going on that you want to talk about?
Not really, frankly. Like, I mean, so
the guy's all in, folks. He's all in.
And that's what I was gonna say. You gotta kind of pick your horses, right? And there's something to be said about like just focus on doing one thing and do it really, really well.
I like the tunnel vision aspect, man. That's really good.
Yeah. So, there's not any new projects that are coming out anytime soon, but it's going to be, let's kind of bring GROWCER to that next level, attract really smart people, world-class people that will get us to that sort of next level of growth and that next stage. And that'll be probably the next couple of years at least to really see this hyper growth. We're kind of getting into it. I'm excited, man. Yeah, we're getting into it right now.
I'm excited.
And it'll be a couple or 3 years at least of really fast growth for the company, which is really exciting. And then who knows after that? I mean, at some point, this company will probably grow beyond, my capacities and we'll bring in fresh leadership. Maybe it makes sense to partner or, merge with companies that are able to even bring this to more markets and help more people. So
absolutely,
at some point, that'll be something that we look at. But for now, we're just focused on bringing more money through the front door.
Absolutely,
growing the business and growing the headcount.
I love it, man. GROWCER is making an amazing impact. You and Alita have done an amazing job. Thanks, and man. I could sit and talk to you here about it forever. But if you believe it, like we've already gone over like an hour and 10 minutes.
Wow, that's crazy.
I love this, man. It's fun. Let's get to our lightning round, and then we'll have to close off the podcast. But this is just quickly 5 questions, but you don't have to answer them quickly or anything. Like it's not that deep. I just came up with random questions that I find it's easier to end the podcast than saying, all right, get out of my apartment.
Right on.
So number 1. What's one social enterprise that's not GROWCER that you think more people need to know about?
Ooh, that's a good question. And a social enterprise that more people need to know about.
Something that interests you or something you've heard about that's, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to pick a good one. Because, I mean, you have the obvious ones. Like you have... Can I not a specific social enterprise? I think co-ops like MEC are huge, right? So you look at a company like MEC or Patagonia that really kind of pursue a vision but can scale, right? That's to me is exciting. So it's not someone people may not know about, but it's one that think people need to support as much as they can.
Love it.
Because it's cool to
now
see it scale.
everyone who's a customer is a part of the business.
Right,
It's
exactly.
cooperative in that aspect. I like that.
Yeah.
If you could get the permits and land space in Ottawa, would you live in a shipping container or a couple shipping containers stacked on top of each other?
Heck yeah. Man, have you seen what you're able to do with
Yes.
containers? You can just do a quick Google search. It is
Badass.
crazy.
Dude,
Yeah.
I would.
It's really nice.
They're like full out houses, like a nice house. And
Yeah.
you can make it all luxury and nice inside, great insulation. I would definitely do it, but I don't know, like
Same here.
maybe you're just done with shipping containers. You've been involved with them so much, like no, man.
Yeah, no, I'm not tired of it.
That's hype. One product or service you simply can't live without.
Spotify.
Spotify.
Yeah.
That keeps you in your groove, huh?
Yeah.
Gotta have those fire beats.
Exactly. And like I don't listen to the radio anymore. Like that's my source for everything, right? And podcasts as well are all on Spotify.
There you go. Corey's always listening to It's Not That Deep, man.
It's on repeat. It's just like always going, man. So every time a new episode comes out,
He's the first guy to hit me with feedback. Oh man, great answer. Favorite restaurant or bar in Ottawa?
Ooh. Okay, so favorite restaurant, favorite bar has got to be Blue Cactus.
There you go, man.
You can't go wrong with $10 triples.
There you go. Oh man.
Favorite restaurant. Ooh.
They're done that.
There's a great restaurant close to where I work. It's called Bar Lupulus on Wellington Street.
Okay.
And it is pretty hype. The chef does a really great job there. And yeah, they do some cool shit. Like they kind of go out and test things, and I like that. So. Yeah,
I like
Bar
that.
Lupulus has got to be the
I like
place.
that when chefs take chances.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like,
And
try
they're always like safe, not safe chances, but they land. You know, like it's not just a chance and it's like what
hits.
is this?
It hits.
just hits every time. Yeah.
Alright. Last question. Who's your favorite dragon on Dragon's Den?
Oh, I can't say that.
You got it, man. You got it.
You know, to be honest, I've got to go with my boy Jim.
Ah, Jim, the OG. I love it. I love Jim, man.
He's so down to earth, and like you could tell, he's just a great guy, right?
He is, man.
And even getting to meet him and stuff and talk to him, you know, we didn't take his offer, so that will forever be, you know, if he's watching, you know, or listening, it was nothing personal. But no, Jim's got to be the guy that you know, that I go with, just because I feel like he's most like me.
Yeah, dude. He's just like, yeah, I'll give you what you're looking for.
Right. He's just,
all the time.
Yeah.
And he's the one who
shake.
actually like gives people money. So many people don't.
Yeah.
Love it, man. Quickly tell people where they can find you, how they can hit you up about GROWCER and GROWCER's website. Give a quick shout out.
Right on. Yeah, so our GROWCER website is growcer.ca. So our pun is GROWCER.ca.
Grow.
Exactly. That's what it is. And I'm on Twitter at Corey_W_Ellis. So you can find me there or reach out on the website. I'm pretty easy to find. I'm not hard to get a hold of. So
Yeah.
There you go.
There it is. You might be not hard to get a hold of, but you're hard to get a podcast with. So I'm
True.
very happy we were able to do this, brother.
Yeah.
Just remember, folks, it's not that deep, and thank you for listening. I really enjoyed that conversation, and I hope you did as well. If you're getting any kind of value from this content and want to help me make it grow, please share on all social media, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, contribute to my Patreon page, and check out my website, itsnotthatdeeppodcast.com.